Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on today? Today's episode is brought to you by Talkspace. Talkspace makes therapy available and affordable for everyone by simply using your cellular device. Their mission is to provide more people with convenient access to licensed therapists who can help those in need live a happier and healthier life. They're not trying to replace in-office therapy. Many people prefer that, which is fine. Talkspace was created so more people could benefit from therapy and overcome their day-to-day challenges in a stigma-free environment. With Talkspace, you can send a therapist text messages, audio messages, as well as picture and video messages in private, text-based in a private text-based chat room. Talkspace stands out because of the affordability, anonymity, and convenience it provides. I would really use this myself to be able to text someone that basically is trained to assist you organize your mind and help you get things in order and maybe, pick up some of your thoughts and maybe lay some of them to rest that might be bothering you. So one of the questions that a lot of people have is Talkspace anonymous? Yes. And one of the biggest obstacles that prevents people from going to a therapist is stigma or dishonor associated with therapy. Talkspace wants you to know you should feel 100% comfortable and safe with your therapist. Privacy, security, and anonymity are incredibly important. You have the opportunity to create a unique username during the registration process. This is the only name your therapist will see. So if you're like Fly White Boy 27, they're not going to know that you're actually black or Mexican or anything, or even a woman. They won't know this. It's completely up to you whether or not you reveal your name to anyone at that time. If you want to speak to a therapist, if you really want to delve into some issues you don't feel comfortable speaking to your friends or family about, Talkspace might be for you. You can go to Talkspace.com, TALK space.com. Go today, make yourself feel better. Today's podcast is actually our first guest. And that is actually going to be my best friend, William Avila. Many people know him as Billy, Bill, whatever you want to put it at. But very smart man. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Here we go. And we are live. You know who I am. You know who I is. But I'm here for the first guest of the episodes. It's like Attack of the Clones, but with Billy Avila. What's up, Billy?
What's up? That was a awkward introduction.
It's always awkward. When has that introduction ever not been awkward?
Like pretty much every time I give one, but...
Remember when Bane saw Batman, he goes, "Let's not stand on ceremony here." And then they just started fighting.
What's that have to do with anything?
That's ceremony, introduction. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
No wonder you're not a hit with the ladies, but...
I already have one lady. I don't need to have more ladies.
Yeah, I don't know how you pulled that one off.
Supply and demand. I was in supply and she needed some demand. She was in demand. What's going on with you today?
Same old same. It's a weekday, Wednesday.
How come no one looks forward to the weekdays?
Why would you? I mean, normal people have what's called a job, right? Where you gotta go somewhere for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, and
I think my train of thought around like the weekdays changed. I think his name is like Gary Vujicic or something like that. He's like a motivational type speaker, and I remember him going, "Why do you get pissed off on Mondays? Those are the days to restart everything and like really push it forward, really give it your all again. Mondays are a reset button."
No, definitely not a reset button. I don't believe in I guess the thought of reset on, like, let's just say Monday, right? So this is kind of going off on a tangent, but I feel like if people want to start over or reset, they shouldn't have a specific day to do that, right? You should, if you have the intention of kind of resetting or starting over, you should do it the second you think about it.
So it's like I want to start a diet, and then this always happens to me. I get to like Thursday, I start messing up on it, and then it becomes, well, I'll just start over on Monday.
Right, that's what everybody says, and usually, I mean, anecdotally, there's probably statistics on something like that. To be honest, I don't know them, but anecdotally, even including myself, when you kind of think that way, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because if you actually really wanted to do something, you would do it then.
But you don't think that we have 52 weeks, which means we have 52 full cyclical chances to get something? Because that's how my brain processes. It's like they're doing studies and they're finding that your circadian rhythm, which is obviously like when you wake up, you go to sleep, what daylight affects you, and when the sun goes down, your body changes in a certain way to where it knows it's supposed to be sleeping. And so what if the days are like that? You know, Monday through like Thursday are kind of like the mornings, and then once you hit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's kind of the night, and your body's like, okay, like maybe if we look at this biblically, you know, we bust our butts off from Monday through Friday, Saturday, and then we take the Sabbath, the Sunday off, if you know, people believe in that or whatnot. So like it's kind of like Monday's a fresh start in terms of like the sun being up, and Sunday is the night where you sleep, and then the week is a new sun.
Well, to throw a wrench into that, what about people whose weekends are on Wednesday and Thursday who have a weird warehouse job? What about that?
Nightmares from the night shift.
Sure.
Oh, there was a blog I used to follow, and I cannot remember what it's called. I'll never remember anything, but they've had a segment called Nightmares from the Night Shift, and it was people explaining what they're doing. What they're doing at 4 o'clock in the morning. All their friends are sleeping. The only people up at 3 o'clock in the morning are Batman and Count Chocula. Like you, like I couldn't
and
imagine.
Your dad sometimes, actually. The best times I've ever texted your dad is about 4 o'clock in the morning.
So for those of you that don't know, William is my best friend. And my dad wakes up, he's military. My dad wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we'll start playing dubstep to start cleaning. Back in the day, like if you're Mexican or if you have like that military parent, for my dad, it was once EDM is playing in the house, it's cleanup time. And he would let you sleep in, but how are you going to be sleeping in when you got 4 speakers, DJ speakers, the size of a baby, as tall as a baby, blasting through the house? And then, if you dare walk outside of your room once to go take a morning piss, guess what? He's going to see you, and he's going to recruit you to mop the floor, to rake the leaves, to pick up all this random shit in the garage that you didn't even know you had, to organize the closet. You didn't even know you had a closet other than in your room. It gets bad. But basically, like, yeah, I mean, okay, my dad has a totally different lifestyle than us. He's in bed by 7:30 every day to go to work at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, Mondays, I look at it as all right, it's a brand new start. I redraw my entire list. What we talked about in the last podcast, me and Derek, is your 2018 goals, how to achieve those goals. And basically, you have like, you make an Excel spreadsheet of all the things you want to accomplish in 1 year, and then you write 52 to-do lists that go respectively to each week, and you try to accomplish those goals. And just like maybe you put laundry on there, you put your daily tasks along with your weekly goals to attain those long-term goals. And so like that, we see it as like a new start every week to achieve something new. You don't feel that way?
No, well, I mean, that's always going to be subjective, you know, according to who you ask, because I know with me personally, it's like the minute I think there's something I want, I'm almost impulsive, but not in an unhealthy sense. But when I know I want something, I'll actually first do research to make sure it is something that I want. And then once I know that that's something that I want, I go ahead and pursue whatever that is. Right. So I don't wait for, most of the time anyway, I don't wait for like, oh, you know, I'm gonna wait till after the new year to do this, or I'm gonna wait till summer to do that, or you know, I don't think of a specific time that I have to wait for. It's like, well, if I want something, I'm gonna do the research now, I'm gonna prep myself now, and just get the ball rolling. Because if I sit there and say, oh, you know, I'll wait till Monday, right? And then Monday comes and goes, and for whatever reason, I have a bad Monday, and then I don't get, you know, whatever it is that I want started. And it's like, well, yeah, there's always Tuesday, but then on Tuesday, you're like, it's Tuesday, I'll just wait till next Monday. You know what I mean? And then so you just prolong yourself. And
do you think a lot of people have a problem pushing things off? Like in your experience, like the people you see on Instagram, the people you see on social media, and granted, that's not like an accurate representation of what people go through daily, but from the people that you understand, that you know, Like, do you see a lot of people putting off like the would-be projects or the would-be changes in their life?
I'll go ahead and give you a short answer, yes. Right? A long answer is still technically yes, but if I were to look at a lot of my peers on social media like Instagram, it's not a matter of them prolonging things. It's a matter of them actually just not doing anything whatsoever.
I think social media has given us a glimpse of, okay, you know how to take a picture when you're at the club. Okay, you know how to take a picture when you go to the beach and the sunset is hitting the water and it makes you shine beautifully. Okay, we see that you got a new car and you're stunned, and then you got a new grill for the car. How did you afford that car? There's someone we know. He's about 5 feet tall. He has a new car every 3 months because he wrecks it somehow. He's always in Vegas. He's always drunk, but he's able to afford everything.
Yeah.
And this person only works like a what is it, like a restaurant job or something like that. Where do people get money from? That's been the big conundrum that I've always wondered.
I think I could, and I know who you're talking about. It's so funny. The dude literally only drinks beer. I don't even think he eats food. But anecdotally, just from my own experience, I remember being in high school, right? And I just worked at Taco Bell, right? I just worked at Taco Bell. But I was living at home with my parents. And so, you know, the roof over my head was provided for, utilities provided for.
Yeah.
Basically, all the money that I made was for myself, right? I didn't have bills. So it's like, if I want a nice car, well, I had the money to do it because I'm not paying other living expenses other than, you know, my car, gas, and insurance, which actually is not a lot of money. So, I mean, if you wanted a car that was $300 a month, especially in high school, it's like you could easily do that if you had the job to do it. And for $300 a month while you're in high school, that's a pretty nice car. So, I mean, that's probably the lifestyle that a lot of these people have, is that they're still living at home. All their living expenses are paid for. And, you know, they have the residual income to be able to afford, you know, something like a nice car or vacations or, you know, whatever it is. Things that aren't necessarily important. Or there are some people that might have something a little bit better than a fast food job. And I know these types of people too. They might have a really nice car and literally live in somebody's garage. I kid you not. I know people like this. They'll rent somebody's garage and sleep in somebody's garage, a detached garage, for like, you know, probably $400 a month.
Do you think that they do that for social media? Like, because I don't do anything to post it online. When I go to LA, when I go to the beach, when I go to Disneyland, when I go to Universal Studios, when I go to here, to places that are out of the norm, that are kind of like outliers on what you're going to do in the weekend. Like, I went to Disneyland the other day with my sister. All day. We took all kinds of pictures. And I was like looking like, oh, do I want to upload this on Instagram? And I never got to it.
Yeah.
And so I don't really post my life. I mean, I'll give you a fake glimpse of what could be, but I see so many people posting every day, and a lot of it is fake. I mean, we know people that fake, it would have appeared at the time to have faked their marriage. And so it gets into this weird, interesting aspect where, do you feel bounded by people that you can't tangibly see to live a certain lifestyle? Like the marriage that I speak of, do you stay together through quarrel and infidelity or whatever it may be for the sake of, oh, well, we already put it out there, it'd be embarrassing for us to break up? Do you think that has a play?
I think that might, or I think that, okay, so this is just being honest. And then this is of course well before I was married or anything. Yeah. Right. I don't know what you call this, but I would have to say that I speak for at least 90% of men out there. Okay. When you're single, no, honestly, when you're single, right? What is the sole purpose of you wanting nice clothes?
For one thing and one thing only.
Exactly.
To show them off to chicks.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. What's the purpose? And this is kind of blurring the lines, but what is the purpose of you wanting a nice car?
To be
Right.
like Nate Dogg and have a car full of girls and it's going real slow.
Yeah, unless you're, and maybe I don't know if that was a good example, but you know, I actually am passionate about cars, so maybe that's not the greatest example. But
Yeah.
you know, most people I would say want nice things, right, or to try to put their nice life out there to kind of attract people. Now, when you're married, and obviously I'm married, I don't feel the need. I honestly don't feel the need to. So if you were to look at, you know, my Instagram, I think honestly I've probably posted less than 10 pictures within the past 2 years.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I go on Instagram to look at literally memes and pictures of dogs, and I go on Facebook literally to
piss people off.
to troll liberals and piss people off. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I use social media
No,
for.
I remember being in college and us trying to find the best pick. I remember we used to have who could get to 100 likes first. I think you
Yeah.
won. I think you won, but
But you know, when I got to 100 likes is when I got married. Or I think it was my engagement picture or something like that.
Yeah.
I finally broke 100 likes and I was like, that's what it takes.
like for girls, they could just post anything. They'll get 200, 300 likes.
I've seen ugly girls, dude. Ugly girls who like might post a picture of themselves in like a bikini or something with some quote from Marilyn Monroe. I don't know what it is with women wanting to quote Marilyn Monroe like she was some sort of she was an icon, but some sort of role model.
She really, okay, put it like this. There's women today that have done 5,000 things in times more than Marilyn Monroe. Why is she so iconic? She doesn't have the prettiest face. She doesn't have the prettiest body as compared to some of these IG people that you see, or these superstar, these movie people, whatever they are. She literally, to me, I look and I go, this is what y'all really like. I judge those people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd have to say that if you have a caption of a Marilyn Monroe quote, you're automatically a hoe.
That's like dudes who post J. Cole quotes. You're gay. Like if you post J.
Yeah.
Cole quotes, you're gay.
Yeah, and especially because you know most people like that won't even be able to name any song off of something like the warm up or
Tell me how many songs you can name off of Friday Night Lights. Tell me.
They probably don't even,
but
yeah,
them,
I was gonna
but
say
them.
they probably don't even know what Friday Night or even what the mixtape cover even looks like. You know,
Unbelievable.
as soon as what was it? Oh, the Sideline Story. Sorry, I almost forgot his first album.
Yeah.
That's about all people know as far as the beginning of that guy's career. They don't know, and actually, the better part of his career was before he was famous. I don't know why we're getting so off subject, but it just pisses me off that so many people look up to this guy and think he's amazing, but don't even know.
Like the Friday Night Lights was, to me, his best, well-rounded, lyrically,
great. It was great.
production-wise, just put together. I remember walking through college, listening to it, stealing lines to talk to people, or putting it in my essay that the plagiarism check didn't catch, bitch. You know, so J. Cole was great, but the one thing I always want to be cautious of is I never want to be that person that I knew him before you knew him. I think that's like I used to be.
I know, but I'm like that, man.
I
I'm
used to
like
do that.
that.
You don't want to be that dude. I knew who he was before you. Like
I know it doesn't matter. Yeah, but still, I'm just like,
I like how someone told me. He said, "Nigga." I think it was Mr. Rapper. Nigga, you sucking his dick. You can't be saying that shit.
no, you know what? I think it is just like because people will just jump on some sort of bandwagon, and it's like you don't even know the true potential or the true work of this artist. You know, basically what you heard on the radio, right?
Okay,
and it's
see,
like,
I get that, I do, but when I started thinking about it more, I started thinking like, oh, what's a hater? What's someone who's just jealous? Like, if I know who J. Cole is and I think he's amazing, do I want to keep that to myself? Because I don't remember who showed him first. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but like, if you knew...
I knew...
you probably...
yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let's say you showed him to me. Like, wouldn't you want to show him to me? Like, when you get in my car and you're the passenger and you got the aux cord, like, aren't you trying to put up the best banger?
Well, actually, in your circumstance, when I do sit in your car, I do try to show you new music, and probably 9 out of 10 times you actually refuse me to do so.
I have a pet peeve about myself. For some reason...
You have a pet peeve about yourself.
I have a pet peeve. I don't like when people show me music. I don't know why. It's something that
Then
like...
you just contradicted what you just said. Anyways.
No. I don't like when people go, listen to this song to me, because I think it's weird for people to like be like, hey, I want to look at your reaction while you listen to the song. I think it weirds me out, so I get turned off by whatever song, or I feel like it's an attack on the music I like.
Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of issue that is. But to me, okay, because you just said if you know a good artist, you want to share it with people, right? Me, okay, let's think about the interaction with you and I. I'm not trying to upstage you. Maybe I am literally trying to show you, hey, there's this great artist out here.
Yeah. And you know what it is? I read a study a long time ago that says, like, let's say you like hip hop music and you start listening to country and you're really repulsed by country. Baby, lock them lights and turn the door. Like as soon as you hear it, your brain automatically goes, no. Your brain literally becomes hardwired from you're a child, a baby, to when you hit age of development, you're 18 and 21, your brain has synapses hardwired in your head to only shoot off impulses when you hear music that's within the same genre, because music has different keys to it. Music has different, instruments that are represented by the genre. So when you hear something different, a different genre, it's different keys, it's different instruments, your brain automatically says it doesn't want to hear it. Like your brain is legit saying, fuck you, to whatever song it is that's outside of your genre. So if you liked rock and hip hop and some R&B, and that's all you've ever liked, and all of a sudden country comes in when you're 21 years old, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? But it's your body's natural response, and they think it might be because you've survived off of that, right? So when you hear something outside of the norm, it's kind of like a foreign invader, like presenting itself and saying, hey, I'm here. And so your body, for some reason, just wants to push it off. Like our bodies do things to like protect us, but they don't even know what they're really doing. It's just from a long time ago when we didn't even have music as unique as all the different genres today. So I think that's why I have a pet peeve, because when people want to show me music, I feel like it's a foreign invader, like invading my privacy, my space, like my thoughts, and so much who I am, like defines me.
Well, then you're truly anal, because 9 out of 10 times when I show you something, it is within the same genre.
No, but I'm just giving an example of like why I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to listen. Now, if it just comes up organically, but there have been music artists goodness gracious, what's the last guy you showed me? Sincerely Collins.
Right.
Great artist. And then you showed me a couple. You showed me NF. So it's like I've gotten better over the time.
Yeah, and most of the artists I show you end up actually being great artists.
Oh, absolutely. But, I think I've watched myself grow with how accepting I am, and that's.
You act like I'm gonna put on Spanish music.
Dun, dun, dun,
I hate Spanish music so much.
I remember one time I had the aux cord, and for those of the people that don't know, I used to DJ, so I had to download the best of Banda one time and just keep it on my cell phone just in case like my record was acting weird, it was warped. And so I downloaded it on my phone at a Mexican party, and I can't delete it from my iTunes anymore because it's purchased. So sometimes on shuffle, it'll go from, whoever I'm listening to, and then all of a sudden, dun, 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 dun. And then I'm like in the shower or something and I can't change the song. And it's pretty repulsive.
I would have to say it is. Yeah. I can't stand Spanish music.
What bothers me, and it's funny when you see like the dude riding in a big ass truck, dun 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 dun, with the windows rolled down, like he wants you to hear it. He wants you to learn how to speak Spanish to hear. And then there's always
he's got crocodile boots.
Yeah, and there's always a fucking decal on the truck of something. You don't know what it is, but there's a decal. Rest in peace,
with a Mexican flag on it.
Jimenez and shit.
Oh man, he's got a big belt buckle.
And look, if I ever die, do not get me spray painted on your shirt, and do not put rest in peace. Just let me die. Do not have a car wash in my name. I'm just saying. I just let me be dead. If you can't afford my funeral, if you can't afford, just let me be dead. Just don't go. I don't need one. Then. Just pour out some of your hanger every time you have a hanger and just call that a day. I don't want to have a funeral car wash. And it's no disrespect to anybody having it. It's just,
I don't know.
But what were we talking about before we got off track?
Spanish music?
No. Reverse that.
I mean, it serves its purposes, I guess.
You're the person with the eidetic memory. You need to remember what we were talking about.
Eidetic. What'd you say? Ionic? What'd you say?
Eidetic. Well, that's a weird word to pronunciate.
I don't know, something about we're talking about music. And
we're talking about Instagram, and basically, as I've come to
I'm gonna get another beer. Go ahead, talk.
Okay, so reading up, you learn that how they won't basically you need to be the age of 25 in order to be considered like a good driver, or what is it called? A driver that's like trusted.
Responsible?
A responsible driver, it isn't until the age of 25. So some places, some rules go that when you're 25, you're allowed to make these decisions. Not very many things anymore, but the research has shown your frontal cortex, which is like responsible for emotions, for understanding, which is responsible for experiences, which is responsible for basically like a big part of being an adult. It's not fully developed until you're around 25 years old. So as I've reached this 25-year-old mark and about to be 26 in a couple months, I've really looked at social media, and I rarely go on Twitter. I don't need to be on there. There's things and people I don't want to see, that just, they don't aid to who I am. They're not healthy. I go on Facebook sparingly. I'm on Instagram sparingly just to kill a little bit of time. But even then, it's like you can get drawn in. Like, have you ever gone down a rabbit hole and all of a sudden you're watching, some guy, rub his stomach and pat his head to see if he could do it 100 times without, messing up. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I've kind of done that with I'll read people's comments on things. Right? I'll just start reading, and when I see like the most ignorant comment ever, I'll actually go on that person's page and then look through that person's page.
Don't you ever like go through their profile pictures that you can't see because you're not their friend, and you'll be like, oh, this person looks like a dumbass. and then haven't you ever plotted on someone who didn't know they're getting plotted against because they said something stupid, and you're just like, oh, I'm about to hit you with some facts, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that sad? But you know what's funny is like how many times has someone stalked your page like that? You know what I mean? It really makes you think.
You never really think who's looking at your page, who's talking shit behind you. You just know who you're talking shit against, but you don't know who's talking about you.
Hey, I thought about this the other day because I work with I work with a little bit of everybody, but I work with a lot of women. Okay. I'll tell you, women gossip about each other so much. I mean, we do it too, but I'll honestly say, like, even if I talk about you, because I'm not gonna say I never do, but I would not say anything
that you
behind your back
say
that I
to
would
my
say to your face, and you know that because I've said some pretty interesting things to your face.
Yeah, you're a dick.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is, if you had the opportunity to like have some sort of recording and listen to all the times people talk behind your back or what they say about you, would you listen to it?
You know what? I don't think I would.
I don't think I would.
Because you're right. Like, anything I've ever said to you, damn well I'll say, and you know who exactly I'm talking about. Two people, damn well I'll speak my mind because I've already told this person he's a kindergartner and he needs to calm his little kindergartner ass down. I'm vocal like that. I have a big mouth. That's why I get in trouble a lot. But you're right. I don't like to just talk shit. I like to crack jokes. You know me. Me and you crack jokes, but I'm not going to say anything that's disrespectful in the sense of I can't say it to them. Yeah, there's sometimes we might say some really messed up things, but that's in the sense of crude humor. That's like, okay, this is locker room talk.
Right.
And I'm not trying to ever hurt somebody's feelings, but you're right. You're right. I don't think I could handle other people because I feel like it would be an attack on my character. And I think that would hurt the most.
And part of me is just like, I kind of just almost, I mean, obviously I can go on without knowing, right? Because I don't know at this point, but what has happened and will continue to happen is that people who will say all kinds of things behind your back.
Yeah.
Right. And I hear it. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I never do it. Right. But I really do try to stay conscious of like, okay, I would actually say this to this person. So therefore I feel justified saying it. Right. But it's just kind of interesting because I thought about it, listening to these girls at work, just bash on, some other girl while she's not at work or something like that. And I'm just like, gosh, like when I take a day off, right? I took Monday off. When I took Monday off, I wonder what they were saying, right? Because I know it wasn't just like, oh, Billy's not here. Oh, he's such a great guy. You know what I mean? For sure, there was some talk of, and that's fine. It didn't kill me, obviously. I still went to work and I still made money and whatever.
Yeah.
But it just like, it got me thinking, like, if I had the opportunity to listen to the times that people, to listen to what people said about me, would I? The answer is probably not.
When we talk shit, it's not necessarily an attack on character because
yeah, okay.
I mean, we have our little spills and we've had our fights and we've resolved them. When I didn't feel comfortable with you anymore, we resolved our issues. I mean, that's what people do.
Because you were being gay.
No, because you're being a dick. Yes, we've talked about this, but when it comes to character, like when I talk about you to my girl, to other people, I say like, I know you won't cheat on your wife. I know you're a good person. Like, I know you like to talk shit, but you don't take anything to a place of pain. You don't take anything to a place of anger, revenge, or vendetta. And I think a lot of other people, like I trust you to be around my girl for a year in a room alone, in a million, and like all you guys had was a pair of underwear on in the opposite side of the room. I trust that you still wouldn't do anything, because I know your character. So when I talk shit about you, I'm just talking about how white you are and stuff and how you need to bring SPF 1000 when you go to the beach. But other than that, like, I know
talk
who you
about
are.
how crappy your grammar is.
Yeah, I have pretty shitty grammar. I write how I talk. And so, what would hurt the most is, yeah, when we talk shit like crazy. What would hurt the most is hearing someone say that I'm not this particular way. Because I do have a big heart and I will take care of somebody before I take care of myself. And to hear something mean like, oh, this motherfucker think he knows everything. And it's like, no, I kind of just stick up with facts and I kind of bring about the truth. And I use logic in my reasoning. I think this and this and this. You don't have to agree with me. But we should at least be able to have a discussion. Like to get attacked on character would hurt. You know
what actually irritates me is there's a lady at work and I really try to like her, and I do like her, but
talking the mic, my man. Talking the mic.
But sometimes like so I have a thick skin. I can take jokes. I really can. However, I do know when someone's joking with me and when somebody's actually trying to attack me. Right. And I can't stand that when somebody attacks you, right, and you go to defend yourself, they're like, why are you being so defensive? Why can't you take a joke? And it's like, damn well you weren't just trying to joke with me. Right. Because, you can tell when somebody's joking with you and when somebody's attacking you. Yeah. And as soon as you start to defend yourself, they're just like, you didn't have to be so serious. And it's like, well, really wasn't. I was just trying to defend myself. Like, you're the one who's supposed to have a thick skin. Right? It's like, so why are actually you being defensive now?
Well, being defensive in these days is the new modern offensive. So being defensive is the same way saying you're offended. And so like, I can't say anything about women anymore. I can't say anything about what I do or don't believe in terms of some racial things because I'll automatically be labeled as a racist. You've been labeled a racist many a times.
Yeah.
For literally talking facts. And what do we know about facts? Facts don't care about what? Your feelings. And it gets really hard because as I feel like I've reached a good age to where I finally understand things or a lot of things. There's always going to be something I don't understand. And it's up to me and you and whoever's in my community, my team, to constantly like learn about things and to make sure that we don't make bad judgments or ill-timed, assertions about something. So I've seen you get attacked plenty of times because people think you're just white. You're just this pure white boy.
Yeah, that's what people think.
And it's like for people that don't know, you're half white and half Mexican, and you actually know Spanish better than a lot of Mexicans, which is crazy.
I don't think that's actually people's primary attack on me, but sure, but
no. When we've gotten to, because we like to get in Facebook arguments from time to time, just because it's kind of fun, because it's easy.
It's so easy.
They'll be talking basically there's systemic racism that needs to be eradicated, and it's all white people's fault. And you know, you're getting into this era in 2018 where it's still continuing that all white people are horrible people. And I know a lot of white people, and guess what? They're not bad people.
Yeah.
All cops are this or this and that. And we're getting into an age where we see a girl on Instagram and we just think that she's a hoe. You know, what if she's just yearning for attention because she has pain in other areas? We don't ever like to get down to the root issues of things. We just like to generalize. So
no, definitely. If I see a half naked chick on Instagram, probably gonna be like, you're kind of a hoe.
You think Sports Illustrated, the swimmer edition, they're all hoes?
Yes.
So all Victoria's Secret chicks are hoes?
Absolutely.
What if a girl's just at a beach and she just took a picture with her man? Is she a hoe? You just Oprah. You're a hoe. You're a hoe. You're a hoe. All of you are hoes.
Okay. I think there's a subjective aspect to it where if you're I've gotten in arguments about this before. If you're taking pictures of your swimwear at the beach with people, it's like I think that's appropriate, right? It's like, sure, you know, you're literally just I'm actually more or less talking about girls who you know are actually trying to be provocative.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I should have been more specific.
Like there's a girl I know and she got a boob job and she constantly posts nothing but pictures of her boob job.
What's her name?
Anyway, this girl,
I'm just kidding.
She'll be like, on the way to make breakfast for the family, and your titties are out. And I'm like, the bacon's gonna burn you. The bacon, the oil, like it's gonna burn. Like, what are you doing? Going to the Mission Inn to go watch the festival of lights. Girl, it's 10 degrees outside. Put a damn jacket on. She cuts a damn hole through the jacket to show her. And you're like, okay. We see, we know, we don't. It's annoying. You know what I mean? You got to leave some for the mind. You have to leave some for the mind. And I don't think enough chicks do that. Just leave it up to our imaginations. Our imaginations are really powerful. How do you think dudes 100 years ago were jacking off? They didn't have porn. They didn't have anything. They were using their imagination. That's when creativity was at its finest.
They saw some chick without her socks. They saw some chick's ankles and just went to town. That's bad.
But there's something I wanted to ask you. You know, now that you see the way that everything is going, you see how, you know, social media kind of is these days, and you've distanced yourself from it for, I mean, whatever reasons those might be. But where do you think it's going? And now that you're having a daughter, like, have you ever come into the stark realization that things are going to be very different by the time she's 18?
Yeah, of course I have. And I think that's going to be a challenge for obviously a lot of people. I'll be honest, like there's no real true way to get around that. I mean, literally without locking her in a room and not giving her any sort of technology. But even then you're really setting yourself up for something else. I mean, I don't know how to be a father yet, but I mean, all I can really think of doing is just trying to really have an active part in my daughter's life. And I really think that men who have an active part in their daughter's lives, probably would think twice about, I don't know, doing anything sexual like that. Also, I think for me personally, I want to be of course, be the best father I can be to my daughter, and actually be the best husband I can be to my wife, so that I can model how a man is supposed to treat a woman. Mm-hmm. Right? And I want my daughter to see that this is how a man is actually supposed to treat a woman. Mm-hmm. Right? That my wife doesn't have to, and my wife doesn't, you know, post provocative pictures on Instagram, right? Yeah. She shouldn't have to, right? So I guess the only thing I can really do is literally just try to be a model man, in a sense.
And I think that that's obviously that's really admirable. And you know, I've had, you know, car rides, and I'll think about you and your wife and the baby in the future, and I get really excited because one, I just love babies, but like I think of, you know, in the previous podcast, I talk a lot about community and how important it is to lean on each other, and how isolated we are with the amount of income that people have. Like, you don't depend on me anymore. You know, I mean, not anymore, but you don't depend on anyone but yourself and your wife to get you through the day. And so just thinking about community, and just thinking like, how can I be a part of your daughter's life? Like, what can I do? Like, can I babysit with my potential family? Can, you know, I be an example? Or can my kids have play dates with your daughter? And just, what can I do to help raise your daughter? Because I'm not going to be the biggest hand, but I'm probably 1 or 2% just by association. You know, I have to lead by example in some areas too. And so it's just like, man, the way that one person acts is how your daughter's going to perceive. And, you know, let's say that this got really famous, this podcast got really famous, and now by the time your daughter's 10, she knows what podcasts are because that's the most prevalent thing at her age. And then she starts listening to this, and what am I saying? What message am I preaching? And yeah, I don't want to be the boring, oh, we just need to, you know, that person that's only promoting like the feminist agenda of respect women. And it's like, okay, I get that. You know, I treat my girl with godly morals that, you know, I like to look at. And I look how you treat your wife, and that's a really good model, and how my parents have done it and whatnot. And so, I don't know. I think about your daughter and all the people we're going to have to kill, and all the kids that we're just going to hire hitmen that are like 16 years old that can't go to prison for long.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure you can still go to prison for murder. I think you're actually tried as an adult.
Oh, really? Oh. I don't know how laws work these days.
Yeah, I know.
It takes a village to raise a child. So, like, just thinking about my community and all the friends and people that I keep around, like, I feel like I'm pretty set. And what me and Derek talked about in the last podcast is cut people off, not 2018, cut people off January. Like, for the people that aren't adding to your life, you need to just cut them off. The people that are just smoking weed all day, and somehow they always have money to buy weed, but they never have money to make a payment on rent, to do this or this important thing, or pay child support if they have kids. You know, you need to cut those people off. But I mean, you're doing well.
Thank you.
And I'm just wondering, like, how things are going to be for kids. Like, what kind of Instagram are they going to have? It's going to be a hologram. Like, and it's literally going to be like, the word is going to be the app. They're going to send selfies of themselves like a Princess Leia hologram. Come to my house. Come to my house. And then you're going to see the transmission. No. And like, no, I can't. I can't do this.
Yeah, I think it's scary because, like, you know, you hear about, well, like things like Tinder, right? That wasn't around when I was in high school.
Imagine if it was.
Your high school experience would have been the same, but
I would have been swipe left.
Nothing would have been different for you.
I would have had a poem on my Tinder profile.
I actually, I don't even know what that's like, but no, I mean, so you have things like that today, which weren't around when I was in high school, and I don't even think around when I was in college or until later college. So it's just like the progression of things like that. I don't know what it's gonna be like, you know, in 18 years from now, but it is kind of scary, right?
Well, what year did Twitter come out? That was 2009, 7.
Maybe 7.
I think 2007.
I don't know.
So we were around for the inception of Twitter, the very first social app other than MySpace and Facebook that like took off too. And
I think Tumblr.
Was Tumblr a big thing?
I think Tumblr was. I don't know.
I don't.
Maybe I'm just.
Do people still use Tumblr?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, for what?
Well, I mean, I actually don't know, but if you go on a lot of people's Instagrams, I have a link to either, like, some people have links to YouTube and then some people have links to Tumblr. I've seen like quite a few of them. I don't have Tumblr, but it's just I see it is still a thing. And Tumblr, I mean, like, just from what I have seen, I think it's pretty, like, you can kind of post whatever you want on there. Whatever
That was your
you
way of
want.
saying you could post a lot of porn, Billy. That was your way of saying you watch a lot of porn on Tumblr.
Actually, just said I don't have Tumblr, but nice try.
Isn't it weird on Twitter? Like, you ever been on Twitter and just scrolling, or if you used to have it, and you just see like porn, and you're like, what the hell? Like, what? Who is retweeting this? Who is publicly showing that they want this on their Twitter?
Probably Mark Vargas, but
And then you go on Instagram, and if you have any nudity, they automatically take you off. Like, isn't that weird? Like, I don't know. Like, does Instagram have a moral high ground or something? Like, do these companies really care? Because Twitter don't give a shit about anything. They let anything fly. Facebook, I think it's a little bit more censored. Like, you now have to click, like, you ever see those things on Facebook? Do you want to watch the video? Click here to unblock the censorship. And I'm all, hell yeah, there's about to be some good shit on here. Someone's about to get eaten by a crocodile. Or you ever see the car crash ones?
you're
And you're like,
sick, man. I can't honestly,
Like,
I can't watch that because that is something that actually happened to an actual person.
well, some of them aren't that bad. Some of them are like, some guy got tasered, and those are the ones that are like, oh, okay, whatever. But some
Yeah,
of them,
I don't mind
you
that.
like, I click in and click out immediately, and I just like, I'm gonna click out of here and go on YouTube and watch shit about, Marvel and weird shit that I like.
I don't know.
I think that the way that people are DMing each other, I wonder how that's gonna evolve through time. Because I met my girl through Instagram. Like, I knew of her, and I mean, it wasn't until I slid in her DMs, and apparently she doesn't answer DMs that way, but I disarmed her. I disarmed her really good. I said, "What's up, G?" Threw off her defenses. Became her friend first, and then I slid in even further. But no, I mean, like, that's how I met my girl, and it's like, that's how I met, my ex. And what are they going to be doing? What are they going to be sending each other? Because apparently I know a couple dudes that send dick pics. That's all they send. And I know which dudes, and I think you might know them. We've had a few conversations where
Yeah.
they open up their app and it's just a dick pic, and you're like, I know this guy. Like, I just saw him last week. He just sent you a dick pic, and I know this girl very well. Yeah, he sends like 2 a week to me. Do you respond? What are you doing? Like, you must be entertaining it. I swear, I just opened it and there was a dick there. Like, as if it's like a worm on a hook. Like, he's trying to bait me or something. What is wrong with people? Like, because we can't see the person we're interacting with, does that adjust our morals? Like, I know I've said some pretty crazy shit like online because I never had to see that person. Like, I wouldn't interact with them the same way if they're in front of me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
I know people do that. Yeah.
like, would you argue with the liberal, like, right in front of your face, as bad as we have? Like, would you have just went up to one?
even worse. It's even better.
Okay, hold on. If you just see a bunch of liberals and like the really soft ones that everything's racist and white power, and you're just minding your own damn business, and then you see them say something stupid, would you walk up to that table and be like, "Hey, bitch," and just go in on them? I overheard your dumbass conversation. Would you just go in on them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have. I went to school in LA, right? Went to grad school in Los Angeles, and it's probably one of the most liberal campuses I've ever been on. And I mean, that was almost like I wouldn't say weekly, but definitely a monthly thing.
Do you think colleges are way too sensitive?
Absolutely.
Why? Okay, if college is a place of free thinking, of knowledge, of absolute, higher education, why is it becoming the way that it is? I was just talking to Derek about colleges and how basically they have a rule that there is no due process if a man is accused of rape. They automatically kick him out of school, and if he's of age, if he's not 17 or whatever, he can get thrown in prison. All they have to do is accuse a man, and he gets no trial. He's automatically, boom. And so A lot of colleges have actually lost their lawsuits because men are suing back because there was a case that basically a guy and a girl were texting, and the girl is saying, "Oh, I want you to do it to me on the butt and just ram it up in there and pull it out and stick it in the other one," and like it was all sexual, and she was telling him all the things that she wanted him to do. So they meet up, they have sex. They were both drunk, but it's consensual as far as the text messages are showing and everything. The girl, she's fine. A couple days go by, and she's hanging out with all her girlfriends, and she tells them, "Yeah, we had sex and we were drunk." And then the girls convince her friend, "You know you got raped. You know that you agreed to it, but you got raped." And so what happens? She goes, "Oh my God, I must have got raped because they told me I got raped." And so what happens? She calls the cops, I guess, and this dude gets thrown out of school and in really big trouble. And he sued and won the lawsuit because he wasn't given due process.
Right. Yeah, that's unconstitutional to not be given due process. That's interesting, but for why colleges are so soft now, I guess I can't give you a direct answer. I do think it has a lot to do with the millennial upbringing, that sense of entitlement that the millennial generation has. Mm-hmm. As far as why they're so offended by everything, I can't really pinpoint. I do know, and this has happened to me and it's happened to you, that you sit in a lot of these college classes and these liberal professors are basically indoctrinating their class with this crap.
Yeah.
And, college students want to be so cautious and woke and, so they buy it. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of spreads like wildfire. As far as being offended by everything goes, I mean, it trips me out because no rational person in the world should be offended by things that are that minuscule.
Yeah.
So I really think that sometimes they just literally want to play victim or literally want something to like complain or protest against, mm-hmm. right? To be part of something.
Yeah. I think it gives them this tribal sense of community. And so basically everything that I've been learning thus far is when you're in a tribe, when you're in war, you depend on the person next to you for survival, right? These young people that are pretty damn stupid because basically how I've heard it, you're just a monkey full of cum when you're in college. That's all you are. Guys and girls, you're just a monkey, like an empty-headed monkey, running around trying to make sense of the whole world. That's why car insurances don't refer to you as a responsible adult driver until you're the age of 25 because your frontal cortex is not fully developed. And if you're smoking weed, you're damaging that process. So stop smoking weed before 25. But anyway, you get into these, I don't have a team, I feel alone. So all of a sudden they offer you, hey, it's really easy to be a part of this team. All you got to do is say that you're offended. Oh, they say you can't sit here. Why? Not because you saved the seat. It's because they're racist. You can't sit right here and eat with these people because it's not like they saved the seat for their friend while they're out getting their food. It's because they're racist. They're white people who hate you. And they want to see you in prison, enslaved in this system. And so I think that they depend on the other person next to them, and it's so much easier to have an enemy that doesn't exist because it can go on forever.
Right.
And so they have their community now, and you don't ever want to leave that community. When you feel safe, when you feel like you're a part of something, you're okay. They're finding with veterans, when they go from war to a household that's just them and like the wife, they don't feel like they have that sense of community because tribal nature wants you to depend on someone else for survival. They don't feel that need for survival, so they end up with not yes, they're going to get PTSD, but they never shed it. They never get rid of it. It stays forever, and it only gets worse until it ends in something very bad. But if a veteran goes from war to a community where it's people that like depend on each other, it's a whole group, depression, suicide rates, everything just plummets. And so I think that's what's happening in colleges. It's pretty bizarre that, people are screaming and they won't even have dialogue. Ben Shapiro, what would he be considered? What is Ben Shapiro?
An editor.
An editor? Okay, an editor who's conservative in his own right, he wasn't even allowed to have a conversation at Cal State LA until
I was there.
Until they did they stop it, or he was allowed to speak?
No, he was allowed to speak. The Cal State president was telling him that basically, hey, let's hold off this event until we get another speaker with the opposing view, right? As to not piss off, basically 80% of the campus.
Yeah.
And it was pretty sad because, I mean, people were basically rioting outside so that he wouldn't be able to speak. And then when he finally got in to speak, they were like pulling the fire alarm, and he still went on.
But why? Why? Like, why?
Well,
Why?
because he has views that are unpopular to, your typical liberal college student.
Well, the kryptonite to these to a lot of the college students who scream rape when there isn't rape, and yes, rape is a very serious thing. We don't ever downplay it. We've known, a girl that was raped, and it was a pretty damn traumatic event for, just even knowing her at that point. And that was horrible.
And that was actual rape.
And so we'll never downplay rape, but to say everything is racist, it's supremacist, it's rape, it's a number of things, and we can't even have a conversation about it. Ben Shapiro can't even come and say this is the real facts of that. That's actually pretty sad. Like, why are people so offended? We got to have and I don't just want to say a liberal, because I don't think you should ever be too conservative or too liberal or too anything, because that's when you get into extremes.
Right, yeah, I would agree.
I just want to have a conversation with someone. I know a friend that works at Google, and so when I had asked him, what's going on with James Damore and the Google thing, he just promptly said, it's because he has white guilt. That's why. And I didn't really go further into the conversation because we had work to do. But I remember thinking, like, why would he have white guilt? He's an introvert. Like, he keeps to himself. And in the Google memo, for those of you that don't know what happened at Google, Google makes them take classes of inclusivity or inclusiveness. And so in these classes, they basically make you say, you need to learn about diversity and you need to help promote diversity within Google. And so basically when James Damore went to one of these workshops, you're mandated to go to like a certain number a month or whatnot. When he went to one of these classes, they were basically saying all white people should have white guilt because you're so privileged, you're so this and that, basically what the narrative of America kind of is right now. And so at the end of this, he was just like, this is weird. Like, I don't do anything wrong. I am respectful to everyone. I don't care what their color is. I'm not promoting or demoting anything. I'm just being me and enjoying my life. At the end of this workshop, in quotations, they said, if you have any constructive criticism about how we can better this workshop, please send something to this email. So he writes a 16-page Google memo is what it's called, about why he doesn't think women are excluded from tech jobs. They just choose different career fields. Why men tend to choose these tech fields or these coding jobs or certain fields that men generally rule in. And he said women tend to be nurses, men tend to go into coding and engineering. And he said a bunch of things as to why there might be a disparity in what people would look at as unequal gender in the workplace, unequal gender roles in the workplace. And so he said, okay, this is why I think these things. And he actually put a lot of facts in almost every damn paragraph. And then he goes, okay, this is at the last, he even made a resolution. He doesn't just say what he thinks or what the facts are saying. He said, this is how we can include women and people of color in more tech jobs or more coding jobs. And after he put that out, it got really big, it got really heated, and he got fired. He got fired for basically just saying this is why it might be, and he's suing him back. But he wasn't even allowed to have a conversation, and so I think that's pretty gnarly. Like, imagine being in a relationship and you're fighting, and your girl's just like, "No, I'm offended. You hurt me, and that's it." Okay, well, where do we go from here?
Isn't that every relationship?
You're gonna get us in trouble. No, but if you're not allowed to have a conversation, how can you ever fix things? How?
I don't know. I think
Talking the mic.
I think and it's probably on both sides, but I really feel like it is more of the left side. They're not trying to have a conversation. They're trying to basically convince you that they're right. But in their arguments, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, when they are trying to convince you that they're right, don't actually have sustainable facts or a solid argument.
It's more anecdotal.
It's
right?
more anecdotal. It's more based on emotions and feelings rather than, actual statistical facts or, things that are actual, tangible facts.
Yeah.
Rather than things that are subjective like emotions or feelings. How do you think, this makes people of color feel, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I don't know, but that shouldn't be a sustainable aspect of your argument. But
you brought up a point earlier, and I want to branch off of it. So you said they feel entitled, and so I speak of I used to feel entitled in a previous relationship where you feel entitled in two ways. You feel entitled to what I was saying is I was a saver, where I felt entitled to love by doing stuff for other people in return that in return they would love me. These people feel entitled by if I play a victim, I'll get love, and love could be the form of attention and so many other things. My entitlement comes to if I play victim and someone saves me, I'll give them, they'll give me and I'll give them happiness. So there's a false sense of entitlement that everybody wants to feel happy. And if they get offended, whoever gets offended more is entitled to more happiness at this point.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot, in this sense of entitlement is something radically different in the sense that they feel entitled to things just for being alive. Just for being a person, right? Like, oh, I'm entitled to healthcare. Ooh, that's a big one, right? Mm-hmm. Healthcare should be a right? That's what they think. Mm-hmm. When things like that, well, no, healthcare it's a privilege, but it's not a right, for sure. Or things like higher education. Everybody should have access to higher education. The truth of the matter is everyone does have access to higher education. Whether it's free or not is a totally different story, but they want everyone to have, free higher education. And it's like, well, it doesn't really work that way. You're not entitled to have higher education just for being a person, right? You and me both had to go into debt, right? To make that a reality and then, get a job to pay it off and move forward. But, they have that kind of sense of entitlement.
Like everything should just be free.
Everything should just be given because you're alive.
That's a really weird word, entitled. Because I've never once said I'm entitled to this or that. I literally always feel if I didn't work my ass off to get it, then I probably don't deserve it, or I probably didn't want it.
Right. Yeah, and then a lot of them will use the argument of they don't have the kind of privilege that you and I would to have those things, so they don't, right? Which is like the worst argument, and it's actually very damaging. For instance, this whole white privilege deal, right? It's a bad argument because basically you're feeding this narrative that if you're a minority, right, that the odds are stacked against you. So in later generations, what's stopping people from thinking, well, I'm black, so why try?
Yeah.
That's poisonous.
I guess it gets into a victimhood mentality where back to that tribal thing where the veterans who came home and were basically, I guess you could say, babied, they developed worse symptoms of depression than someone who came back and no one really cared if they served and they weren't fed into this oh my God, you went to war. And yes, war is actually very tragic and it can do things to you, but in these examples, they were showing the difference between people. Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, you ever see when a kid falls and they look at you, like a baby falls and they look at you for, okay, what the fuck should I do? Do I cry or do I just, what do I do? Like, they don't know to cry. They're waiting for you to either baby them or to just go, get up, come on, and just make a joke of it. I feel like that's what's really happening. This will be for another podcast, but it gets into that victimhood mentality where, well, what are you going to do for yourself? Because there was a point when I was technically handicapped in a way where my professors wanted to get someone to take notes for me. You know how embarrassing that was? Did you once ever see me do this victimhood thing where, you know what, Billy, I'm going to make everybody do something for me? No, I would complain because I was in excruciating pain. And I'm still fighting through this, whatever it is today, which, like I said, I'll speak on another podcast. But I figured this shit out on my own. I learned that, hey, it's not fibromyalgia. It's not. That's a term used for bullshit that doesn't exist. There's something wrong, and I'm going to find the root issue of it. I took it upon myself to figure this out. So why, when you chalk something up to white people, what white person? What white person said that you couldn't do it today? What white person said that? You know, like the example of, my teacher said I'd never amount to shit. What teacher said this? Was it Mrs. Moore? Was it Mrs. Ramirez? What teacher said this? I need to know what teacher said this because we need to kick their ass out. You notice they never mentioned the teacher's name? What teacher said when you're what teacher is telling this rapper they're never gonna amount to shit? Imagine they're just coloring, they're drawing a little bit outside, the lines, and they're like, this dumb motherfucker, you never gonna amount to shit when you get older. Like, I don't see anybody saying that. So who is this faceless shadow who's telling people that they can't do it? And like how you've told me before, if there's racism, show me where, so we can fight this together. Because we don't like it. We don't like racism. I mean, our best friends, some of our best friends are black. They're family. Yeah,
and I love the argument that you can have black friends and still be racist, which is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. But I mean, you can make racist comments, which I do because they're funny, but I don't mean them.
If Childish Gambino can say it, if Donald Glover can say it in his Netflix special, I think we can. There's something about racism that's funny.
Yeah.
You got to be really careful when it comes to that. But I think that we're gonna wrap this up here.
Yeah, I gotta go home.
You got to get home to your girls.
Actually, to my dogs, but yeah.
Gosh, I feel bad for your daughter. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Saying It Differently podcast. We are wrapping it up here. We have different opinions. If you don't like it, leave a comment. If you like it, leave a comment. We don't really care. We say things differently. We out.